This clip was made possible thanks to Arcane Wonders. More about them after the clip.
Hey, it's Chris with another Deep Thoughts Friday. Today's topic is going to be about going to conventions. So starting off, let's talk a little bit about what it was like for me going to conventions for the first time. My first convention was back in 2018. It was a little local convention called CharCon. And so I didn't know about Gen Con or Origins or any of these other things that were going on, PAX Unplugged. None of it really was anything that I thought it was. It was small attendance. It was in this little place called the Clay Center. And there were some areas where there's some tables where you could play games, vendors. I didn't even know that there was an RPG area in a completely different area in the place. It was neat. It was cool. But then I had gotten a chance to go to Origins 2019. 2019, wow. That was crazy. There was a lot of things there. There was people. I was working for the op as a helping out with the Envoy program, which I mentioned some weeks back. Got the chance to play some games and have a good time. But there's some things that I've always wanted to give advice in regards to what you should expect going into a convention, maybe things that you might want to plan out ahead of time, and especially things that you just want to kind of do. And one of those things is finding the time to rest. And I'll give you a reason why. So, Gen Con, I went to Gen Con 2021, and it was a blast. It was a great time. But I was not prepared. I was not prepared health-wise. I was not prepared mentally for the hours of standing and walking and everything. And I was just not there. I mean, I had a great time. It went really well. But I was physically exhausted. Physically and mentally exhausted after each day. And it really did take a toll on me. So some things that I learned from that, and I applied to Origins, which was later that year. Usually Origins is before Gen Con, and then Gen Con's later on in August. Well, this time it was like October, September, then October. So, weird thing. But it's a pandemic, so things were, of course, changed around to try to see where the pandemic was going and how to properly prepare. That's really what it came down to. And one big note is that the Gen Con staff and the Origin staff did a really good job of monitoring people with masks and addressing it as it happened, which was really good. So if somebody would pull down their mask and they'd walk by, they'd be like, hey, you need to put it back up. That was a big thing. So some things that I learned. Walking. You're going to do a lot of walking. So, prepare. Do a lot of walking ahead of time. I will tell you that I at least got so many thousands upon thousands of steps in the course of a day. And part of that was just me standing still, going back and forth a little bit. But then even walking through the hall. There's a lot to do at Gen Con. There's a lot to do at Origins. There's a lot to do at PAX Unplugged. Walking is going to be a big part of it. So, prepare. Make sure that you are physically ready to walk. Something that I also realized is I had a backpack on that has weight. Weight will wear on your back after a while. So when it came to Origins, I got a cart that I could pull and put my camera equipment in and be able to have that stuff all at the ready. My tripod was in there, and so I'm able to pull that. And then if I purchased any games at the convention, I put that in the cart as well. Made it so much simpler, a lot easier. Something that I'm going to recommend as well. If you have a chance of getting some sort of small cart, so that way you're not weighing so much on your back when you're walking, do it. Comfortable shoes. Oh my gosh. Comfortable shoes. Yes, there are some shoes that you are like, I just got these new shoes and these feel great. Well, after a while, you're going to feel it. And if you wear shoes like I did, my shoes were just a little bit too small on my feet. So much pain around my toes. It was not enjoyable, that part. So, and it wasn't until, like I said, Origins, it was like Gen Con was a perfect example of what I shouldn't have done. Origins was a great example of what I did well and did better. So we're talking about getting some walking in ahead of time, getting some good, comfortable shoes, orthopedic shoes if you got them, go ahead, do it. But something that's going to be good for your soles, good for your toes, has enough space to breathe. That is so important. Especially, it's going to be summertime. So you want to have something very comfortable that's not going to sweat too much on you, okay? Something that definitely has air to breathe is a big plus. So that I highly recommend. And then the cart was a godsend. There's something nice to having a cart versus getting hit upside the back of your back or hitting somebody else with your back using a backpack. You don't want to do that. Backpacks hurt. Let's not hurt somebody with a backpack. So that's something that you want to be aware of. But yeah, and then, so we talked about, conditioning yourself, making sure that you're kind of ready physically and all that. Well, something else that I recommend, figure out what you want to do and when you want to do it. Take a look at the events, plan it out. Know that things are going to change. Know that things are not always going to work the way that you want them to. But you do want to look through your program, look through it and say, okay, do I want to learn to play at this time? Is there an RPG that I can get into? If you can register for events ahead of time, register for events ahead of time. Set it on your schedule. Make sure, though, that you have time in between to go to other places, to be able to breathe, to be able to, if you need to, sit down. And don't forget, lines when it comes to food. There will be plenty of places to go for food. But if you don't have the time, then you won't have the time to eat. And if you don't have the time to eat, you're going to starve and you're going to feel it. You're going to get cranky. And nobody wants to be around somebody that's cranky. Nobody. So planning out your meals, great time, great thing to do. Origins is another example of that. Origins, planning out my meals ahead of time. I knew where I was going to go. I knew what time I was going to try to go. It made it a lot nicer for me. I set a budget for how much I was going to spend for each meal. I did that for Origins and I did that for PAX Unplugged. I knew that I was going to try to spend this much and that much. Budgeting is so crucial, especially when you're going to convention. You already are thinking, okay, hotel or Airbnb or VRBO, but then you're thinking about, okay, food. Food costs more in the convention hall. So my advice, try to find places outside of the convention hall that you can walk to enjoy a good meal at a decent price and not pay an arm and a leg. $8 for a bottle of water is not worth it. Sure, it's going to feel like it's worth it when you're drinking it, but that's $8 that you just wasted. Most places outside of out of the convention center are going to have water that's going to be maybe around $1 to $2. And then most of these convention centers have water bottle refills, which you can just go ahead, put it underneath, refill it, you're good. Hold on to that water bottle as much as you can. And if you've got one of those cool thermostats, I think it's not thermostats, but cool thermometer, not thermometer. You know what I'm talking about though. The thermo coolers, have that on hand. Keep it cool. Keep it refreshing, especially when it gets warm in a convention center. Summertime, warm convention center. The AC might be working, but when you have enough people in there, it's going to get hot. And you might as well have some cool water to at least keep you cool and refreshed as you're walking through. The worst thing that you could probably do is have a chance where you faint or you feel uncomfortable. And that is not something that anybody would want to deal with. You don't want to have like, oh, hey, how was your convention experience? Well, it was great until I fainted, ended up in the hospital, cracked my skull. Just a typical Gen Con. So those are some things that you want to be aware of. So we talked about conditioning yourself, talked about making sure that you're prepared like your events. We talked about budgeting your meals. Well, what are you going to the convention for? The games. So budget time to play and budget time and money to buy. Plan out one of the things, if you're able to, look at the hall early. If you're able to see where the different vendors are, get to know where the vendors are. So that way you can go there, you can be able to do some, window shopping, or if it's that release that you know is going to sell out, go for it right off the bat. Get it out of the way. But plan a budget. Say, okay, this is how much I'm going to spend. And I'm going to spend that much. And I'm not going to go over it. So try to figure out where the best values are. Some of the best values won't come until the last day, where the publishers are trying to get rid of whatever's left in stock, so that way they don't have to drive it to the next convention or have to ship it back. So just be aware of that. That does happen sometimes. But those big sellers, go for it. Go for it. Support them. Either way, when you're buying a game at a convention, you're supporting the publisher directly. You're supporting the staff directly. Make it a point to do that. If you're able to, do it. But budget yourself. Plan it out. Get to know what you're wanting and why you're wanting it. Plan out the vendors. Plan out the publishers. Plan out the artists. Know where you want to go. And then set a set amount of time that you're going to try to do it. You may not be able to hit the whole convention and do all the things that you want to do in the course of a day. That's the reason why most conventions are more than a day. Like Gen Con's about 4 to 5 days. Same thing with Origins. PAX U's about 3 days or so. So you want to be able to have the time to be able to window shop, the time to actually think and budget out your buying of things. And if you plan it out that way, it's going to make your life so much easier. Plan a little junk food in your backpack or bag, so that way you have something to snack on too while you're in the convention. Let's say that you don't get to go out and maybe you don't go out to get that bite to eat and you don't have the time. Maybe something came up where somebody's like, hey, want to play this game? And you're like, I really want to spend time with that person and play with that person. Have some snacks on you so that way you have something for it. But budget all these things ahead of time. It will make your life so much better knowing what you're going to spend. So that way you can plan it ahead of time. So, tax season's coming up. This is a time where you might have a refund and you're like, I'm going to use a little bit of that refund to go towards some of my games. I'm going to put it towards the hotel stay. I'm going to put it towards this nice vacation, because that's what it is. A convention in itself is a vacation where you can get away from work, where you can spend time with the people that you love, playing the things that you enjoy, and enjoying a hobby that we have so much just grown to be a part of. We're a crazy community of hodgepodge of all different types of people, beliefs, races, just anything. It's something where we can actually kind of get together and just enjoy it. It's a vacation. I mean, I looked at every convention that I go to. I use my PTO. That's my time off with work, because I treat it like it's a vacation, because it is. And I get excited about it. But the big thing is preparing for it. Just like you prepare for a vacation, like if you go to Disney World, you're going to hit Epcot this day, you're going to hit Magic Kingdom that day, you might hit the MGM place. I don't even know if it's called that anymore, but you're going to hit all those different places, different days, different times. You know the budget that you're going to have for the meal. Do the same with a convention. Treat it like it's that vacation trip, because when you do, you'll be prepared and you'll be able to have the best time you can. And don't forget, schedule time to rest. If at some point you feel that anxiety start coming in and you know that you need to just kind of get away and sit down and rest, do it. Because ultimately, you want to be at your best mental health going into a convention. There's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of chances to play games. But if you don't feel comfortable and you need to rest, or you need to get away for a little bit, rest and get away. It's perfectly fine. This is your vacation. That's what a convention is. And I hope you have a great time. I know I'm looking forward to a convention that's coming up this next week. It's called Tantrum Con. I'm going to get to hang out with people from Tantrum House. I'll get to hang out with people from One Board Family. I'll get to hang out with a community that has just been loving and kind to me. And I can't wait for that. But I also have budgeted what I'm going to spend, where I'm going to go, and who I'm going to enjoy the time with. And I know that it's going to make my trip that much better. Is everything going to work out perfectly? Maybe not. But it's going to be pretty close, and I can't wait for it. So, I hope you have a great time at your next convention. If you haven't been to a convention before, please put in the comments which one you're interested in. Maybe you have a question about it. And for those of you who have maybe advice that's different from what mine is, please put that in the comments down below. And let's talk about it. Let's see. Maybe you have some great advice that helped you out on your first convention. Maybe you had a bad experience on your first one. Let us know so that way other people that are interested in going have a better time when they go. Well, that's another Deep Thoughts Friday. I'm going to wish you an amazing weekend. Hope you have a great time. And I'll see you later. Remember, if we can gather at the table, we can do the same for a good cause. Bye.
Do you have problems sometimes taking photos?
Okay, there we go. There's a smile.
I mean, with my kids, yeah, we do. But it's a lot easier when we're playing Picture Perfect from Arcane Wonders, a game that we highly recommend and is in stores now, or you can go ahead and order straight from their website, link down below.
Hey, thanks for watching our video.
If you like what you saw here, go ahead and hit that little like, subscribe, the little bell thingamabobber, you know the thing, and watch some of our videos. Maybe one that's maybe up here, or maybe down there, or over there, or down there. I don't know where they are, but thank you all. Remember, when we can gather at the table, we can do the same for a good cause. Bye.
Bye.